If you were given a question on the difficulties faced by Macbeth, a sophisticated argument is that Shakespeare presents Macbeth's difficulties not simply as external obstacles, but as the psychological consequences of deliberately suppressing his own moral judgment. Macbeth is torn between conscience and desire, masculine expectation and moral fear, fate and free will. His tragedy lies not in ignorance, but in knowingly choosing ambition despite understanding its consequences, a classic characteristic of the tragic hero. At first, Macbeth's difficulties are deeply psychological. After committing regicide, he admits he is full of scorpions, is my mind. The violent metaphor presents his thoughts as poisonous and self-destructive, revealing how ambition psychologically infects him. Shakespeare suggests that regicide destroys Macbeth internally before it destroys him politically. A Jacobean audience loyal to James I would view the murder of a king as an assault on divine order and lawful succession, which is why nature itself becomes corrupted after Duncan's death through unnatural darkness, storms, and horses turning upon each other. Even earlier, Macbeth recognises the danger of his desires when he admits that his only real spur towards regicide is vaulting ambition. The horse-riding metaphor suggests ambition dangerously overleaping moral restraint. However, Macbeth is not simply driven forward without resistance. His fear of consequence, awareness of Duncan's goodness, and recognition of judgment all hold him back. His difficulty therefore comes from the conflict between ambition and conscience, and from choosing to violate the very moral limits he understands. However, Shakespeare also presents Macbeth's difficulties as rooted in masculine insecurity and manipulation. Lady Macbeth attacks his identity directly when she tells him, "When you dost do it, then you were a man." Masculinity becomes weaponised through emotional manipulation, and Macbeth increasingly fears weakness more than immorality. Yet Shakespeare avoids presenting him as merely controlled by others. The witches tempt him with "All hail Macbeth, that shalt be king hereafter," but Banquo immediately warns that the instruments of darkness tell us truths only to betray us in deepest consequence. Macbeth hears the warning and proceeds regardless. The supernatural may awaken ambition, but his own ego and desire for power sustains it. Ultimately, Shakespeare suggests Macbeth's greatest difficulty is that power cannot silence guilt or fear. After arranging Banquo's murder, Macbeth is haunted by the vision of his friend crying, "Never shake thy gory locks at me." The blood imagery symbolises guilt physically returning to accuse him. Importantly, supernatural changes across the play. Earlier visions, such as the dagger, propel Macbeth towards regicide, whereas later prophecies and apparitions psychologically torment him instead. Even the prediction that Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped reveals Macbeth's fatal misunderstanding of fate itself. Shakespeare ultimately presents ambition as self-defeating. The more Macbeth attempts to overpower conscience, divine order and destiny, the more psychologically fractured and haunted he becomes.